Nerd alert! Hey, I'm Ben. I'm a huge fly fisherman. Today we're gonna do another video about fish facts and learn all about brown trout. So get your protractor and settle in. Brown trout are scientifically known as Salmo trutta, which means salmon trout. Real clever, Carl. The genus Salmo also includes fish you've probably heard of, like Atlantic salmon and marble trout, but holy crap, look at all of these other fish in the Salmo genus. I had no idea any of these existed. One thing all of these fish have in common is that they are from the old world, Europe, Asia, and a teeny bit of Africa. But humans are gonna human, and we've taken brown trout all over the place. Here's a map of native and introduced range by country. Nothing too shocking here, but they left out the Atlas Mountains in North Africa. Also, I always learn something when I make a fish facts video, and check this out. Brown trout were introduced to Papua New Guinea. I did not know that. Sounds like they didn't last though, because they were overfished. And take a look at Kerguelen Island, I don't know if I'm saying that right, in the southern Indian Ocean. Someone put brown trout all the way out there. Crazy. Here is a map of brown trout distribution in the US. Can someone tell me what's up with the coastal brown trout in South Carolina? I found that on 2 maps. I think it's bull. DNR says nothing about it and it doesn't make any sense. Okay, drink. Brown trout can be identified by their black spots on a lighter background. Sometimes they have red spots, but not always. Also, they are brown. There are different strains of brown trout, but it's kind of messy, so I won't get into it. I will say that if you use the term German brown, you're probably not using it correctly, and you should just stop. The current world record for brown trout is this 36-inch fish that was caught by me on the Yellowstone River. You know, we didn't actually measure that fish. I really think it was closer to 40. Let's talk about life history. Brown trout do brown chicken, brown cow in the fall. This is around the same time that social media is full of people with big brown trout that they ripped off a red just so they can hold it in an unnatural position. Let's throw a pro tip in here. If you fish for spawning trout, you are a little bit. Anyway, after the eggs are laid, they don't hatch for at least a couple months. So even if you don't see fish on the reds where they spawn, you should still avoid walking on those areas. Those eggs are in there. Brown trout can live up to 20 years old. Some of them migrate to the ocean and become anadromous, or adfluvial if they're into the freshwater thing. Brown trout can tolerate warmer water than other trout. You'll find them lower down in river systems where other trout can't survive. And can someone smarter than me please explain why the further down a river system you go, there are fewer trout, but they are bigger? Is it like a carrying capacity thing? Take another drink. Brown trout utilize the river differently than other trout. In general, brown trout will be in slower water and more on the edges of rivers. And rainbow trout, by contrast, will be in the faster water in the middle. That's a generalization though, they really could be anywhere. One cool thing about brown trout is that even on little tiny creeks, there's always a big one somewhere. Like even if you fish a creek and catch nothing but 6 to 10 inch fish, there's a 20 in there somewhere, I promise you. And it's not gonna be in the biggest or deepest hole, it's gonna be somewhere sneaky, under a log or undercut bank, in a root ball, some random spot where no one can ever get to them. If I'm on a brown trout creek, I'm always looking for that anomaly fish because I know he's there. I made a video once where I called brown trout trash fish because they aren't native where I fish for them. You wanna know what I really think about brown trout? I friggin' love them. They are one of my favorite fish to catch. Brown trout have a reputation for being smart, and I agree. I don't have a citation for this, but I remember reading about a study on the Gunpowder River in Merlin where they were sampling fish and looking for evidence of being hooked. In that survey, 98% of brook trout showed evidence of hooking. Rainbows were something like 80%, and brown trout were 6%. Smart fish. I've talked a few times in my videos about fish that have beaten me, fish that outsmarted me, fish that I could not catch that I thought I could. Almost all of those fish are brown trout. They are smart, and they are definitely the biggest assholes of the salmonid family. For me, one of the biggest achievements in fly fishing is catching a monster brown trout on a dry fly. It is one of the pinnacles of fly fishing. And the best part is when I get up close to that fish and I can see the blue cheek, the teeth in its hooked jaw, those lines under the gills. I don't know what they're called, but only big fish have them. And most of all, the eye. Brown trout have angry eyes. They are pissed when they get caught. Not at you, but at themselves. That's the vibe I get anyway. And that's gonna wrap it up. Thank you for watching another one of my huge fly fisherman videos. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, go make a brown trout mad and stay huge. I went that whole video without making a joke about brown trout rising in a toilet. Kind of proud of myself.